Hi from India. It's like 12, actually close to 1 o'clock in the morning, and we just had a nice little bite to eat. Some amazing Indian rice. Love that stuff. But we had an incredible night. Wow, 1,000 people turned out for tonight's message, and man, their hunger. First of all, looking out into a sea of Indians, there's nothing like it. Just that gorgeous color skin, their beautiful silky black hair, and let's not forget to mention their clothes. Man, they make us Westerners look like we don't know how to dress. I mean, their clothing is, even the poor people have just beautiful, beautiful saris that they wear. They just look so gorgeous and elegant. Anyway, I'm not talking to you about India right now. What I want to talk to you about is something that kind of came to me when I was in Latvia, and I pondered on this a lot, but this is kind of a message to leaders or people who want to be in a leadership role. What I have found as I've trained and worked with thousands and tens of thousands of people from all over the world, by the way, I'm a former homeless woman. If you don't know the story, I was homeless 25 years ago today, like right now, okay? Right now, December the 10th, December the 10th, I was a homeless woman, and it was bad. It was so bad. I had given myself over to complete failure. I had given my body over to too many men. I had given my body over even to hurting myself. I was polluting my body with massive excessive amounts of alcohol, drugs, food. I mean, it was a really bad thing. I was incredibly self-destructive. And I think in every form of the word, I was completely self-destructive. Anyway, so here's the deal. So as I've worked with thousands and thousands of people from all over the world, there's something that I've noticed about leaders and about leadership. And there's something that we as leaders have got to guard ourselves against. And that is that our hearts do not get to a place where our hearts are hardened, and that we think we know everything, and that we're always so busy giving answers or giving direction and guiding people in whatever direction it is that we're guiding people, that we have a tendency of not submitting ourselves to being guided by someone, or in the case of our Father in heaven, especially in terms of those who are spiritual leaders. It's something that I have to guard my heart against as a businesswoman, as a mother, as a wife, as a community person, as a philanthropist. It's something that I have to guard my heart against, because what I've noticed through the years, and I can always tell who's in some kind of a leadership role when I'm speaking, because their hearts are kind of hardened, and or they walk in, first of all, and whoever they're talking to, they're giving a resume. They're usually telling everyone how important they are, what position they have, what they've accomplished, how many people are following them, every trophy that they've ever had. They have a tendency of showing those things. They also like to sit in the back, as well as they like to take longer breaks and maybe even not show up on time first thing in the morning. They have a tendency of saying things like, wow, I taught that, or, oh, that's some really good stuff. I taught that kind of stuff like last year. They don't realize that their heart has run away with them, and that ego has begun to rise up. And that thing that made them successful, which was being teachable, being in a hungry place, being in a humble place, was actually the thing that caused them to rise up into leadership. And unfortunately, a lot of people who get into a leadership role, their leadership becomes stale to all those that are around them. Yes, they become stale because they're not growing. It's a trap. It really is. And so a very authentic, unique leader is someone who is still learning. I have to tell you that I go and I attend conferences. Even when I attend church, I'm sitting near to the front. In fact, even at church on a Sunday morning, I'm standing in the front while that music is playing because I want to absorb all of it. But I take massive notes from my pastor every Sunday that I'm in town and that I'm at church. I'm one to learn from anybody. And this is something I've had to position my heart to, because it is so easy. And I've learned the hard way, friend, trust me. I've learned the hard way, where I've sat in a conference, or I've sat in a church, or sat in whatever, where somebody else is leading it. And I'm the person with my hands crossed. I'm kind of sitting in the back going, yeah, when's this going to be over? It was kind of good, but, I don't know. I teach that same kind of stuff. I've been there. And when I've been there, there's always been a crash that came after. And if my heart is not tender, then my heart is not learning. If my heart is not tender, then it's hardening. And when it gets hard, pride begins to take over. And now we get stuck and we become stale and we end up in a rut. If we are not sitting before somebody else, whether that somebody else is better than us or not, doesn't matter. But it's the positioning of humility. It's the positioning of shut the heck up, Mr. or Mrs. Leader, and start to listen and learn again and gain different perspectives and hear what other people are actually saying, because there's always something that we can learn from other people. And so this really is, tonight's message is a warning about that, because if you are in a dry place, it could be that you haven't learned something new in a really long time. Either that, or you've become so choosy and so high on a horse that there's no one else you can learn from. And so last year I attended 4 separate conferences, of which they were all spiritual. And I also attended a few meetings with some highly successful business people. And I chose, in fact, one of them I was on a bus with, and we were touring around in Haiti. I sat with my journal open and I took notes. Now, this individual does not have, let's say, as much influence as, let's say, our company, Destiny Global, has in the world, as far as how many people are listening to that one individual. However, in fact, it's a few hundred people, let's say, that person is listening to. So if I were to look at, okay, well, I'm more successful in this arena, doesn't matter, man. I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to gain. I want to grow, for the main reason of I want my heart to stay soft. I do not want my heart to get hardened. And I don't want to become like what I've seen so many times through our seminars, and so many times that I've seen in some of the leadership that I've traveled around the world with, that their hearts are hardened, their heads are huge, their results are lame. And they're kind of stuck in a corner, but trying to pretend like they're not stuck, trying to pretend that they've got results today, when really they are only depending on the results that they had like yesteryear, like yesterdecade in some cases. And so if this message is resonating with you right now, I want you to just humble yourself. And maybe if you serve God or you walk with him, go before him and say, man, is my heart hardened? Because if you have the fruit of that, it's like, oh, that was pretty good. I don't know. I don't know about the rest of this. That's what I love about where I'm at here in India. My friend, my brother, Harry Gomes, has led 15 million people to the Bible. 15 million people, over 400,000 documented miracles. And there he sits. He gives me his speaking platform. He's been edifying me for years, and I've been here now twice. And the reception that is given, as well as him taking notes, as well as him absorbing, as well as him saying, will you pray for me? Give me a break. That to me is the example of leadership. He has, influence over many more people than I do by far. And what he's done in his own nation is incredible. His results are astronomical. And yet, the example that I see in him is straight up humility. That's the kind of leader we all need to be. I don't care if it's in business. I don't care if you're making $1 billion a year. I don't care if it's $1 million a year. I don't care if it's $1 million a month, or $1,000 a month, or $300 a month. You gotta get humble. You gotta get teachable. Beware of your heart thinking that you know more than you do, and thinking higher of yourself than you ought to. Share this message. Come on, the leaders of the nations need to hear this. Come on, that you need the reminder. You might want to flag this video somehow to remind yourself that maybe weekly you need to listen to it, because we need to stay on track. And I believe the world is looking for humility in leadership, not pompous pigs who are tooting their own horns, not pompous pigs who think they're greater than they really are, not pompous pigs who don't listen to anybody. But we need authentic leadership of people who want to listen, people who will listen, no matter how high up they get. They're still going to listen to those that are around them. They're going to listen to even those that are not around them, but they're positioning their heart in humility to honor, to respect those that are around them, no matter what their positioning is. That's it for me. Good night, because I'm going to bed. You have just started your day. Well, you're about halfway through your day.